Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sarah. On today's video, we are going to be learning how to make this straight gown with this beautiful color. If that's something you're interested in, come with me and let's get started. Also, do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thank you. This is the fabric we're going to be working with, and I used 2 yards of fabric for this particular gown. So I've cut out what I want to use for the front part, and I'm going to start like drafting now. So here I'm drafting out the neck part, which is 3 by 3. We want to do this, or you can even make it 3 by 2 depending on how choky you want it to be, but I did 3 by 3 because it's comfortable and it's better for me. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out my shoulder measurement. But do you see where I'm starting from to do the shoulder measurement after the neckline? And there's a reason for that. I am inventing, or I just decided to do a different type of sleeve entirely. So I'm not going to be attaching a sleeve onto this. As you can see in my picture here, that the shoulder like went all the way from the normal shoulder down to my bicep, basically just giving it a different style. So that's why I did what I did there. Okay, so here I'm going to mark out my armhole measurement, which is 8, and I'm going to go ahead and give that same measurement at the lower part, which is my chest area. If you don't understand what I'm saying, or if you don't understand what I said previously, you can just go ahead and do your shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then add maybe 2 or 3 inches to it to make it look like the sleeve I had on this particular dress. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead to get our half length. So that for me it's 17, and I'll also go ahead and get our hip line. So basically this is waistline, half length is where my waistline is, and my hip line is basically the difference from my waistline, which is my upper waist, to where I have my hip. And I'll take my tape all the way from the top to get what my length line is supposed to be, and I'll go ahead and mark out all these lines as you see, just so they can be more visible to the eye. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is at the armhole line here, we're going to go in by 1 inch, right? And then we're going to go ahead and divide what we have, like the 8 that we have. We're going to go ahead and divide that into 2. We have 4, which is now our midpoint for our armhole. After we've done our bust measurement and added our sewing allowance, we're just going to go ahead and use our curved rule, French curve, to connect the line from the half length that we just marked out to where we have our bust measurement. Now we're going to go over to our waistline and do our waist measurement divided by 4, right? And then you add 1 inch for your dart and 1.5 inch or 2 inches for your sewing allowance, depending on what you want your sewing allowance to be at this point. And then we're going to go over and just mark out the dart line. And I wanted to show you guys this because not many people know how to do that. So I'm going to go over to the hip line and go up by 1 inch. You can actually go up by 1.5 inch if you want to, and I'm just marking out where my bust line is supposed to be here. Remember you guys that when you're marking out your dart for the front dart, right, your dart is going to go 1 inch below the bust line, and for the back it's going to go 1 inch above the bust line. Just keep that in mind. I know your back doesn't have a bust line, but yeah, just keep that in mind and it will be helpful towards you. So here I did my apex line, which is my under bust divided by 8, and that's how I got my apex line. So you can go ahead and do yours and figure out what yours is. So after getting that, with those lines that I made, with the 1 inch line that I went up and down by, I am going to divide that by 2, and whatever I get is my midpoint. Now at that midpoint, I will go out on both sides by half an inch. If you don't understand what I'm saying, please watch what I'm doing. Thank you. And after I do that, I will use my ruler now to connect the lines together, forming like a diamond type shape for that, right? And that's what we're doing here right now. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and on my hip line, I'm going to mark out my hip measurement divided by 4 plus my sewing allowance. And then I'm going to go ahead and use my hip curve to make a curve like this. I would naturally just take this all the way down because I do not want it to be too tight at the bottom part, and this is a short gown, so I just went ahead and did that. Now we're going to go ahead and cut. This is what the front looks like. Let's go ahead and cut out the back. So I'm going to go ahead and place the front onto the back like another folded piece that I've done for the back, but this time around I'm going to be leaving a space for my zipper allowance. And you can see here that I'm marking a zipper allowance none other than 1.5 inch. You can actually do 1 inch for your sewing allowance or 2 inches depending on how much fabric you have and what allowances you like to use. I like to use 1.5 because that's like very comfortable for me. So what I'm doing here is I left the space at the top part where we have our shoulder, right? And here I'm going up from that shoulder part by half an inch, or you can actually do 3/4 inch if you want. So basically what I'm saying is the back shoulder is going to be a little longer than the front shoulder, so when you finish sewing it, the back kind of comes all the way to the front. As we go on, you see what I'm saying. But yeah, so at the neckline here I did 3 inches by 1. I actually went ahead to change this to 1 because I did have quarter at first, but I didn't want that anymore, so I changed it to a 1 because it's more comfortable and it would let me breathe better. So I changed it back to a 1 instead of a 3/4 inch type thing. So after I do that, I'm going to go ahead now and just take it all the way into the new shoulder line that I have created for the back. And keep in mind that you also have zipper allowance, right? So you just take that all the way into your zipper allowance and then go ahead and cut. See what I meant when I said I went up by half an inch? So the back is a little longer than the front by half an inch, and then the remaining places I just go ahead to trace because they should both be the same thing. Yeah. After doing that, I go ahead to mark out where my waistline is supposed to be, and then on that waistline I go in, not out this time around, in by half an inch. And the reason why I'm doing this is to avoid that zip bulge that always appears at the end of the whole sewing, and you're like, what is happening here? Yeah, this is going to help you get rid of that. You know, that is actually excess fabric that nobody wants, so this is one way to get rid of it. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out first and then cut out the remaining zipper area, separating the back into 2 different parts. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and add my lining piece to this. I've gone ahead to add my lining piece to it, and I've also gone ahead to add that to some of the parts. So I left one to show you what I already did which is the back part, right? So at the back part here, I have a dart already that I've put, and here we have a length of 16 when you measure from this part, and then when you go to measure from the shoulder, you have a length of 27. So here I'm going to go ahead from the shoulder and mark out 27 first to get the bottom half of this dart ready, and then from the bottom half of the dart I'm going to go ahead and mark out 16. Do you see how smart that was? Yeah. And then just because we're doing it at the back here, I'm going to go in for by my zipper allowance by half, one and a half, right? One and a half zipper allowance. That's what I'm using, right? And then from there I'll just mark out what my apex line is. So mine is 4.25. I don't know what yours is. Like I said before, you can do your underbust divided by 8 or your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Yeah. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and divide this into two, like I said before, for the front part when we're doing it without the lining. Then I have the middle part, and I'm going to go ahead on both sides to mark half an inch. Now that I have half an inch, I'm going to use my ruler. I really needed to explain this again to you guys so you'll understand better how this works. Okay, so after we do this semi diamond shape, I'm going to go ahead to my sewing machine and sew like the shape is. After we're done doing that, I'm going to go ahead and place my back piece onto my front piece with where the shoulder is supposed to be. I'm just going to go ahead and stitch it together like so by quarter of an inch. Okay, now that I have done that, I also went ahead to add my zipper because I needed to add my zipper for this part. So what I'm going to do is locate where the midpoint is for the front, because we already know where the midpoint is for the back. That's where your zip is. I went ahead to notch it, and this is where we get to measure what we need for our collar. So I put this together instead of like measuring round. I just went ahead, put this together, and I measured what I had here. So here I have 9, right? But I wanted my collar not to get too close to my zipper, so I did 8 instead. So here we're going to mark out what we want, right? So here we have 8, right? So I'm going to do 8 divided by 2, and whatever I get is what I'm going to mark out here, right? So I've gone ahead to do that now, and I'm just going to now get the wideness of what I want it to be. You can go ahead and do 7. I did 5 here. You can actually do 4 depending on how long or short you want this your collar to come out looking like. That's what you're going to do here, but I did 5 because I felt 5 would just be okay where it's at. So I went ahead again to mark out what I had from the previous 8 divided by 2 that I did, just so I could get like a proper line out of this, right? And the remaining thing I have here is 3.5. Sometimes it's not 3.5, sometimes it might be 2, or sometimes it might just end up being 3. So what I'm going to do is go from the top here and connect it to the other part. So basically you're having half a triangle when you look at this, right? Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is at this other part, the center part, we're going to go ahead and go up by half an inch, right? And when you do that, you're going to get your ruler. You can start from where the bottom of the triangle, half triangle starts from, or you can just start from where I started from, make a line and then cut into this. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what your collar is going to be looking like. I have a fabric here, and I'm going to go ahead and fold it into 4 because I'm trying to get both lining and main piece from one cut, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place my pattern onto this and then go ahead to cut. And I'm going to be leaving just half an inch at the sides, like you see me doing here, just half an inch around this. So when I get to sew it, I'm sewing by half an inch and I'm not removing anything from the main measurement that was given to me, right? So I'm going to go ahead and cut two more of this, and I'll go ahead and put it together. Okay, so now I have two more of that, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it together. Now you want to go ahead first of all, before putting it together, to iron a type of stay to it to give it strength, right? So this is a color stay. I actually went ahead to use a different kind of stay for this. I went ahead to use a hair stain for mine because I didn't want the hassle and bustle of using a color stay for something that I wanted to be so simple. So I went ahead now, after doing that, to sew. If you can see my hand movement, I'm sewing towards the wider side, not the other side. So when we're done doing that, you go ahead and turn it, add any kind of design you want to add, and then here we're just doing the placing. So you want to place from the midpoint, right? From the midpoint, pin it down, and then you take it all the way from the front to the back. But do you see something here? We're actually starting from the wrong side of the dress. So you have to turn your dress towards the wrong side and then place your collar onto it, and make sure the both of them are actually sitting almost closely together, because if you sew it like really not so close, it will not come out so nice. So yeah, you want to go ahead now and sew by just half an inch, and then go ahead and turn it over to the front side like I have done here. So I've gone ahead to turn my dress to the front side, and this is what we have right now. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this, right? After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and top stitch this so it comes out really neat. And this is what we had when we were done. I'm going to go ahead and do the hand later. I just wanted to focus on the color and the dress. Well, you see how everything came out. If, of course, you've seen the picture and it's on my Instagram. Yeah, I hope you get to try this out for yourself. I hope you loved the process of making yours as much as I enjoyed the process of making mine, and I hope yours comes out really good. With that being said, y'all, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Don't forget to turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified when I post a new video. Don't forget to love yourself, because I love you. Have a beautiful day or night, whichever it is you live for. Bye.